The only real hope and change you'll ever get is from God. It's going to come from the Lord, or it's not going to come at all. It's going to come when you admit that you can't do it and that you've got to have His help.
When you deal with prophecy, you have to remember something. As men and women on this earth, we're going to have lots of views. It doesn't mean people are wrong or people are right. It means that we have views. Only the validation of anybody's words that would deal with prophecy is based on what the Father does. For example, Ezekiel, right? Ezekiel and all the prophets of old, they prophesied things that are coming to pass in our time and have come to pass even in their time. But it was only validated after the Lord did what He did. It was not validated before. Before prophecy comes, people have different ideas. That's going to happen. That's okay. It's okay. After God enacts a prophecy, he does that thing He said He was going to do. Then people begin to understand what the prophets were speaking of. Okay, so in our case, we have Revelation to look at. We have end times prophecies to look at. Many people are going to come up with their own idea of what they believe would happen, and that's natural. But only after the fact, after God brings things to pass, that's when we'll understand. We'll understand with precision what took place. Remember that, so you don't argue about prophecy, because we're going to have different views based upon what the Lord has put in us. Yes, in Mexico, I'm going to be talking about some things tonight. It'll be brief, but I'll talk about some things. Because, guys, I can listen. When it comes to those things the Lord has given me, He's affirmed those with me. And Mexico is like a bell in regards to what will happen with the USA. Mexico is a big part of what will happen in the USA. And that's according to what the Lord gave me. Because it was Mexico that had the trouble. It was the border. Remember, guys, when I first told you about Mexico here in COT, about California tilting up and the landmass would be tilted up to about a 45-degree angle or more, right? Before that happened, the border was a big deal. Do you guys remember that? That I told you guys what the Lord showed me, and a bunch of people were down at the border, and the border was a big deal first. That happened first. And then the earthquakes and the volcanoes. Now, here's what that means. If it's just an earthquake, well, it's missing the volcanoes. And if it's just a volcano, it's missing the earthquakes. It's missing that. But I've been watching that Cocos plate because the Lord has directed my attention there. And nobody outside of, possibly maybe a few people on the earth with real fine-tuned expertise in being able to see everything would come to a conclusion concerning California. But even if they did, they can't tell the people, right? At least, if that thing were going to happen, I believe it will happen, that some of us, like those of us who speak in regards to what the Lord has given us, can come forward with integrity of what the Lord has given us and let people know about that. So if it begins to happen, right? If they see a process starting to happen in accordance to what the Lord has shown someone, they can act. They'll have a bit more comfort knowing it's from the Lord, right? They won't be shaken in mind so much that they'll follow anything to save their own lives. But they would know that, hey, the Lord is doing this. This is the Father doing this. They'll also know that a very special and trying time has come upon humanity. They'll know that. See, it's not only California that will be in trouble. See, when California, when they go through that trouble, it's when the Grand Canyons will also slam shut. Now imagine that. Imagine the Grand Canyons slamming shut. I literally mean slamming shut. What will happen in California will affect the entirety of the USA. And imagine large pieces of the USA separated, and water and mud and all sorts of things coming up from the bowels of the earth to fill in those gaps. So it's not only going to affect California. It will affect the entirety of the USA. It also happened at a time, you remember when some of you guys have been here for a long time, right? You remember before they had the side-by-sides. Hear me on this. And I was talking about a vehicle that looked like one of those little 4x4 things. They were a lower profile, right? And because the Lord showed me a dream long before they ever came, that some people would be driving these things all over the place. And in the dream, somebody came and asked me for water for them. And I saw the vehicles. I tried to draw those vehicles. The Lord would not allow me to get a clear picture on those vehicles. I saw those vehicles. They're driving around those vehicles today. So he showed me that. He showed me those things that would happen in Mexico. Right? And it's so ironic that in 2026, if nobody ever knew what was happening at the border in 2026, they did. Because the border was front page news for quite some time, wasn't it? Everything was down at the border for some time. So that never happened prior to the time we live in. And then something else happened for the first time dealing with the border, is the rounding up of illegal immigrants. The way that happened, and because it was so much coverage. It's not the first time it took place, but it's the first time it had all the coverage it had. A massive operation dealing with immigration. And in the early days of COT, the Lord had shown me that too. You guys remember what I used to say? I can almost guarantee you that most people have forgotten. This is long before any Biden, long before Trump, long before any of these guys were president. The Lord showed me something about the border. Here in COT, I said this. I said, if they shut up that border, and if they lose their compassion, then one day they're going to try and get across that same border they shut off. And those on the other side will deny them. There'll be people screaming, yelling, and desperate to get across the border out of the USA. The Lord showed me that if we as a country lost our compassion, we are the ones that would be in trouble. That's what the Lord showed me a long time ago, before anything ever happened. Now, I have not spoken about that since then. It's since, a little bit after. Not in recent times, because I told you guys, I can't talk about that subject anymore. You remember that? I said I can't cover that subject anymore, because it would be too dangerous. Because once you're in the middle of those times, it is too controversial, way too controversial to talk about those subjects. People's emotions running high and everything else. You can't talk about those subjects. You have to talk about those subjects long before they ever take place. We're sitting in 2026 in the very conditions that, at least the Lord showed me, which is why, I'm not guessing about the end times. I know we're in a time that we're not going back to, because people are not changing. People have made up their minds. Is where we're going further and further. And those things the Lord showed me. And he gave me a sequence to those things. So all of what you see right now is part of it. It is slowly but surely coming about. But you may ask, what about other people who the Lord has shown things about the end times? I hope and pray they are true to what the Lord showed them. And I hope they never deviate from what the Lord showed them. It's going to be important for people to hear it. Because when those times come, they're going to answer questions. Only when God brings it to come to pass, that's when people will have no confusion about what he was talking about. Prophecy is very good that when something does come to pass, it offers correction to those who have heard the prophecy. It offers great correction. My firm belief as the USA, we are the standard bearer of this world, period. We are the USA. So the USA has to have the highest of integrity in all things. It is a mantle we carry, a mantle of responsibility. And in view of the world, we have to have the highest of integrity. We have to have the greatest compassion. God has granted us the strongest of an arm. He did. But we have to, in turn, we have to understand the position that the Father has given this country. Rise to the standards of that position. Take our place in the time that we're in and be a standard bearer on all sides, all the time. You guys out there listening to me, the Lord has given you things. You're no longer at the back of the bus, so to speak. When the Lord has given you things, and when you have observed to see those things come to pass, and when you believe in the living God, you have standards also. You have to be people of the highest of integrity. You're standard bearers of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Any standard bearer of whom God has elevated, forget about rest. Forget about relaxation. It's all about the standard. It's all about what you represent. Because what you represent is the only hope for the people. And because you represent that, you're on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Period. And every moment of interaction is a purposed moment, giving you to express the truth of our Father with integrity and honesty and all truth. With the Spirit. We're the ones, if you're a standard bearer and everybody else is tired, you have to keep going. When you're a standard bearer and people can't continue because they're hungry, because they're famished, you're the one that stands up and you keep going by faith no matter what you feel in your body. God called you to go the extra mile. He did not call any of us to do what we couldn't do. He called all of us to do everything we could do. You're standard bearers. So is this nation, the USA. Haven't you noticed that every time something happens, everybody looks to the USA? Who do you think positioned us where we are? The Father did that. So what happens if we drop that mantle? Anybody know? The declaration is in the Word of God. It happened to Israel over and over and over again. God made Israel a standard bearer, and they deviated from the Word of God. They got puffed up and built up within themselves, full of pride, and they were cut off in front of the whole world. In front of the whole world, they lost their kingdom. In front of the whole world, they were sent into exile. In front of the whole world, God took away that position, right, of a standard bearer, and he put the entire nation at the mercy of another nation. That's what happened. I don't know about you. I don't want that to happen. Do you guys want that to happen? I don't want that to happen. I don't. That's why I don't. When people do an okay job at doing something, that is their responsibility. But we've got to go. We really have to expend all of what we are to carry the standard that the Lord has placed upon us. We really do. If we do not, as a nation, we'll be put at the mercy of another nation. And I don't think anybody in the USA wants to see that. But you can certainly see how that can happen. You can see the numbers of the enemies of the ideology of the USA amassing in number in the USA. You can see the mindset of the populace changing. You can see it, which causes in Washington an act of desperation to hold on to what they have. You know, there are people in Washington, people in Congress. You know what they're saying? Anybody out there who's ever worked in any type of position, maybe you heard the utterances of what they're whispering. They feel like extinct dinosaurs. They feel just like extinct dinosaurs. Because if you heard any rumor, you've heard this. You've heard them say, we're going extinct. And it seems like nothing can stop it. That's what you'll hear. You ever have something happen in your life, and no matter what you do, the momentum of whatever it is coming against you does not yield. It gets worse and worse and worse. Only to find out, all you had to do was make some changes within yourself, and you could have stopped the entire thing coming against you. We're in that same situation, and it has to do with compassion. Let me give you a quick scenario dealing with compassion so you guys understand. If God empowered you with power and a lot of money, right? and a lot of influence. There's some standards in the Word of God that we're bound by. King Solomon did it. David did it. Moses did it. All of them did it. The one thing they looked at were the slaves, the people who could not do for themselves, the widows, the orphan, the very people who consume things from society, but don't really contribute. The Lord said they are the poor, and they will always be amongst you. The Lord said that. They are the poor. They'll always be around you. If you lose your compassion for those who cannot guide themselves or take care of themselves, if you become their overlords, you've messed up. To the poor of a nation, we are to teach them how to go forward. We're not to force them, to teach them. We're not to hand out things to them all the time either. We are to encourage them and to teach them how to go forward. We're not to be cruel. We are to educate them by way of truth. It'd be like somebody in your house that, say you had a house and it required everybody in the house to work, right? So you could pay your bills and everything else, and everybody's working except one person. Every job they go to, nobody hires them. They don't have the credentials. How do you handle that situation? With that one person in the house, nobody hires because they simply do not have the experience. They don't have the education. How do you handle that situation? You begin to educate that person. You have to take your time and sow into that person. Now, when you sow into that person in the household, a lot of people would say, well, sowing into them and they're not producing anything, that's a waste of time. Wrong. You'll sow into them. In this case, in the household, you sow into them, you educate them. Once they become educated because you've sown into them, then they begin to produce for the household. Now the household is twice as strong, and most importantly, this person can stand up by themselves. They're no longer at the mercy of everybody else. They can stand up by themselves. They're contributing to the household. Now the household's complete. God told us we will always have the poor among us. Always. If God told us that, we're not going to get rid of the poor. And if we're not going to get rid of the poor, then we have to do it the Lord's way, so that it can all be managed with love and compassion. We have to educate people. Many of them are so willing, but they're judged so harshly. So what happened in Israel that humbled them so much? The Lord told them, because you mocked someone in their calamity, the Lord would put you in their calamity. So those who have will become poor. Those who have will begin to experience what the poor experience. And there is no defense that can save them from that principle. Here we are in the USA, strongest nation on earth. And we can't get it together in view of the world. There's no way in the world we should have arguments on television and these disagreements that I continue to see on television. No, you don't show the rest of the world that. It's like two parents. Parents should never argue in front of a child. Never. Because all they can do is sow discord in that child's heart. Violence and everything else. What the two parents should do is, in a situation where they're at a disagreement, they should go in secret chambers and work that out. The children of the household, they have to see cohesion. If they see cohesion, then the children are healthy. But if the two children see the arguments of the parents, the child is going to be emotionally fractured. They're going to have that visual. They're going to be taught ways they shouldn't know. They're going to grow up in society and repeat what they saw their parents do. And then we're going to have a massive degradation in society. You guys were small ones. When your parents or your caretaker, whoever it was, when they did not get along with someone, you could feel it in your soul as a little person. It was a disruption within you. It was a darkness in the place that you were in. You could feel it. But when there was cohesion in the house, no arguments, you felt free, liberated. You also felt creative and accepted. When parents argue, a child can feel dejected, alone, and hopeless. Because whether you accept it or not, children can feel the atmosphere of a home. And they will respond to that. And it's a big deal. In this country, the government, the news media, Listen to me, the news media most of all, and anybody who would speak of the situations in the USA, they have the discipline to know that other countries can fall apart if they perceive no cohesion of us. That if we have a disagreement, we take those in secret chambers. And when they're in secret chambers, all the people need to know is that we have a solution. They do not need to know the details of what happened in secret chambers. See, we've forgotten that. News was invented to keep people accountable, not to expose the method by which people come to an agreement and cause that to be some sort of drama show. News right now, they say they're reporting the truth, but let's be serious. What they're actually doing is reporting the drama, the controversy. They're feeding negativity into people on a daily basis. And that's exactly what people want. It has to be cut off. Cut off. The government, they're like parents in the house. They're supposed to be a fine-tuned machine. They represent the mind of this nation. They represent the people of this nation. That's what they represent. When they go behind secret chambers, they should only come out with a solution. And then the media, they can do their checks and balances on that solution. But if the media does not support the government, listen to me carefully. If media does not support the government, that media ought not be reporting anything. That's my view. Why in the world, if we're in the same nation, the exact same nation, with the exact same mantle, why would we destroy ourselves by presenting to the world that we are dysfunctional? You ever seen a dysfunctional family? You don't look very good upon a dysfunctional family, do you? Children that come from dysfunctional families are indeed broken, aren't they? Well, let me tell you this. We have a dysfunctional government because all they do is fight. And they're not speaking alike. They just fight. It has caused the populace to become dysfunctional. And only the Father can wake us up now. Dysfunctional. Absolutely dysfunctional. That's why a fine oiled machine. That's why I like the military service, right? In military service, when commanders, when they get down to the nitty-gritty of tactical details, the rest of the troops do not know the method. They don't know the method employed. They don't hear the conversations. You know what they hear? They hear, hey, we have a plan. Let's go forward. They do. That causes them to be motivated. It causes them to be unified. Cohesion is beyond belief. In the military services and other places like that, you'll never find anybody closer than other soldiers. There is no family that can ever be closer than those who have served in combat. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because they go through hard times together and good times together. Because they share everything. Listen, because there is no difference between one soldier and the other. They're soldiers. They don't care about telling everybody about everything about their lives. That cohesion is that strong, but it's only that strong because of the chain of command. If that chain of command is ever broken in the eyes of the troops, no one can trust anyone anymore. It is one of the most devastating effects upon the troops is when they see a dysfunctional command. When they see a dysfunctional command, it's over. You know what the Lord told us? He said, do your good deeds in secret that your Father may reward you openly. Why would the Lord say that? Why would the Lord tell us to do our good deeds in secret that the Father may reward us openly? If you're going to do a good deed, why not just tell everybody you're doing a good deed? Why did the Lord tell us to do a good deed in secret that the Father would reward us openly? Why did he tell us that? Because that's being authentic. That's why. So here it is. If the two parents are having a discussion away from the children to decide something for the family, and the kids do not hear, they don't hear any methodology being employed by the two parents, it's because the parents love the household. It's because the parents are not going to dare do anything to the children that would degrade their trust in them or the households, because the parents want to see the children go all the way up. They don't want the children to go halfway, and so they're not going to do anything to jeopardize their momentum going forward. How about that? They're thinking about the children. They're not thinking about themselves. They're thinking about the children. When a situation arises in this world, there are many conversations you did not hear. Do you know why? Because you were the ones that will be affected by it. The news media does not know about those conversations, but those conversations have been had. How about that? There's so many things you don't know about, and because you don't know about them, you go forward without the burden of something that's been taken care of. And you gain the knowledge along the way anyway on how not to repeat it, but you're not dragged into the process of correction of it. We've lost that. Everything is drama stew. Everything is reality TV. Television exists, let's go ahead and face it. The reason they have drama in the news is because no person is going to pay for responsible news. They need the drama. It's almost like going in you go among some people and you hang around those people for a week and there's no arguments. You know what you're going to say to yourself? Something stinks here. Why would you say that? Well, because everybody's getting along. This is not right. That's exactly what you would say. Something stinks here. I'm going to find out what it is. There's no way nobody has a problem here. In other words, because it's not going to be normal to you, you're going to assume that something's being hidden from you. You're going to find out whatever they hid. You're going to bring that out into the open, which is the methodology that somebody's utilizing. You're going to bring it out to the open and have people debate about the method of coming to a conclusion from others. You're going to cause drama. Back in the day, people were responsible, right? Let me tell you how responsible they were. Some of you had parents, and they said, I want you to wash that window. And when you went to wash the window, they said, no, not that way. You do it this way. You wipe up and down, never wipe from side to side. And that same parent never told you you did a good job. Still, you had other parents. They knew you had limitations, and they would say, wash that window. You'd go over there with your happy self and mess it up, but you'd wash the window. The parent would come by and say, good job, but let me show you how to really get it clean. That's the responsible parent. That responsible parent that tells you good job for your effort because they saw you poured in your effort, they care about you, and they're interested in you. The parent that says, do not do it this way, do it that way, they care about the window. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you guys understand that? When a parent cares about the object more than the child, they will fuss at the child for doing it wrong. When a parent cares about the child and they could care less about the object, they will congratulate the child on the effort they put forward, but they will instruct them on how to do it the right way. Does that make sense? And what we've done today is people have forgotten their compassion upon their fellow man. They care about the stuff in America, the stuff in Europe, the stuff in all these countries, and they say, forget the people. They don't care about the people. They care about the stuff. They care about the bottom line, not the people. The heart of the world has shifted. It has changed. It used to be they cared about the people so much that they would change an entire system. But now they want people to conform to a system, and they can care less about the people. If you don't serve the interest of the system, you're going to be ejected. We're going to bring somebody else in. It's just like that in this world. Back in the day when somebody couldn't quite conform, when they couldn't quite bring themselves up to the task, somebody would come alongside them and instruct them and bring them up to a standard because somebody cared about the people. As the Bible teaches, listen, the love of many is going to wax colder and colder because iniquity abounds. Wouldn't you agree? Don't you see what's happening in the world? Don't you see that same mentality has permeated the minds and the souls and the hearts of many? Without the Father's intervention, there would be no light anywhere. If we could fix this ourselves, there'd be no need for the Lord to come back the way he does. But we can't fix this ourselves. In the beginning, in a person's life, in the beginning, a person will see or hear a phrase, or they'll see something, and all of a sudden they have a conscience that says, that's wrong. That's in the beginning. Time goes on. They put up with that thing that's wrong, so much so that 8 years later, that same thing is being done. But that person has no conviction, no conscience toward it. And if somebody were to come in and say, hey, isn't that disgusting? They'll say, what's disgusting? Everything is normal here. What are you talking about? My point is this. When we put up with something that has convicted us, when we put up with things that have set off these alarms within us, when we continue to have those things around, you become conditioned to them to the point where you cannot see them nor perceive them anymore. Righteousness is that way, so is iniquity. Iniquity had a slow buildup. At first, when I was young, you wouldn't dare openly brag about your dates to anybody. You know why? Because marriage was the order of the day. Over time, more and more people bragged about who they were dating. Now, at first, it was just one person. Hey, I'm dating so-and-so. And they get away with it, just one person. Then they'd end up getting married. Today, you hear people bragging about 50 people. Well, I've dated 78 people, and I still haven't found the right one. They have no shame towards that. None. That's heartbreaking. That's absolutely heartbreaking. It's a reflection on what the people have become in this day. To not be able to see that. Why is marriage so important anyway? Because it's the cornerstone of integrity dealing with couples. In a relationship, it's your first devotional thing, right? It will really test your devotion, but it brings out such quality elements within a person. If a person can be faithful to that one person, no matter what, if they can weather all storms, no matter what, then they will have held their integrity towards that person. And the love that they have coming from within them is real, because that love is going to be proven. Situations will prove that. Plus, a relationship is taken through a process. That's a beautiful thing. It grows a person by way of their faith. It allows them to see things they wouldn't ordinarily see. That's the truth. It evokes responsibility. Most people who are in successful relationships tend to care about other people. I said successful relationships. And a successful relationship is a relationship where love is actually in the relationship. Respect is actually in the relationship. What is modeled after what the Lord has been teaching us. But if a person has dated 78 people, because every person they get ends up being the person they didn't want, then that person is going through life imagining things. Hear me on this. For every person that person's with, they have imagined that person was the right one, but it wasn't. They've been proven wrong 78 times. Something else is happening. For every person they've been with, they're sharing the DNA. They're taking on DNA to themselves. Their souls are being corrupted for every person they've ever been with. Now, at the end of all this dating, this person is not going to know who they are. They will have taken on the traits of so many people, they don't know who they are. They don't know what they are. They'll have phrases and statements and a type demeanor that will pop up from time to time that nobody ever gave them. It's because it came by way of that transferred DNA as a very real thing. Most importantly, the Lord knew what he was talking about. He designed us. They don't even share that with people. When you're intimate with a person, you take on their characteristics. You take on a part of their spirit. Imagine if you did that to too many people, you'd become a Sybil. Somebody with multiple personalities. Oh, you've seen that, haven't you? Of course you have. It's an unavoidable after effect to the world we live in right now, because why? We disregarded that. And most importantly, if a person cannot honor a person-to-person faithfulness, right? If they can't do that, person to person, they'll not honor any other commitment with anything else. If a person is going through life trying to find something that complements them and them only, and they're not willing to compliment the other person, and that they have dated 78 people and been intimate with 78 people, then that person is going to chew up everything they become a part of and spit it out. It produces cold-hearted people. Even the people who have dated a lot of people, they know this. It makes them cold-hearted. Only by return to Christ and a little time does a person finally realize, man, I became mean. I became uncaring. I became something I never thought I would become. Is it their fault? It's not about a fault. It's not about a fault at all. You don't point at a person and say, well, that's your fault. You don't do that. That'd be like pointing at somebody who's hooked on methamphetamines and you say, well, that's your fault. You don't do that. You don't do that. That's not because of a fault. That is society. That's environment. That is people unwilling to come along somebody else's side to educate them. Oh, but I'll tell you something. If you were one of those people who messed up like that, people out there in the world need you. They need you. They need what you've learned. They need you badly. So if you've been out there and you dated 78 people, I would advise you to go back in your life, re-explore that process, document that, and get that out in a book form. Ask the Lord, because people need this. They need to know what's happening with them. You could help millions, and nobody else can, because you have to be in that situation. To be an expert in that situation, that means you have a lot to tell. What a work that would be. What a mighty work that would be. And just how mightily the God would use that. You don't have to be ashamed of it. All of us have fallen short of the glory of God. All of us messed up. All of us did. Each and every one of us have done something in this life that has messed us up with the Most High. If not for His mercy and grace, we'd have no relationship with Him. None of us has earned passage into anything holy. All of us have messed up. All of us have. But that's what the Lord will use for the good going forward. It is a real statement. What the devil meant for evil, God will get the glory out of it. That's a true statement. But what happens when people are ashamed and they don't want to go that, they're trying to forget that. You can't forget your qualifications. You can't forget that. If you forget your qualifications, which by the way, was in your sinful life, you have no testimony. You can't educate anybody else in the real things. Or could we? We have no flavor, do we? But the Lord said He made us the salt of the earth. So that means, yes, you were a bit salty in the beginning. It is useful to lose that. If you're ashamed of that, you're trying to, not use that. That's society again. Society makes it so hard for a person to be 100% honest. People like me, I don't care. I just don't care. I don't care. I've sat down at dinner tables and people say, well, didn't you do this when you were small? I said, and that was just a little bit of it because you didn't catch the whole I've had jaws drop in front of my face. And after I'm done telling certain things in detail, I mean as much detail as I can muster, they're the ones that notice the contrast and the change. And then they're the ones that will come back and say, hey, if your life changed like that, can my life change too? That makes you humble. When people notice in you hope, they notice in you hope. Because of your story, they are hopeful. And then they want to learn about Christ. And then their life turns around. And then they in turn represent the truth to somebody else. And even more hope comes from that. I've seen people try to do it on their own, a million different ways. Nothing is effective like the true testimony, not some made-up testimony where people leave out the truth. You have a testimony. You have a testimony you'll never talk about, and other people have seen the whole thing. So then let them see the whole thing. They know who you were back then. Be consistent today. Understand that you represent righteousness. Understand that you'll never talk to half the people in this world, but that half the people in this world will see you. And when they look at you, what will they see? Because it's so funny. Don't people see you when you're about to make a decision on something? Have you ever said to yourself, I don't know why in the world the Lord allows people to see me at the wrong time? Anybody ever say that before? Have you ever had that gripe? Lord, why do you allow people to see me at the wrong time? Why can't you let them see me at the right time? Why do they always see me when I have these complicated decisions to make? Why do they always see me when this controversy comes up? Why do they always see me? That's on purpose. That's why. It's on purpose. Those people have seen you struggle. They've seen you go up. They've seen you go down. They've seen you read the Bible. They've seen you take a drink. So what would happen one day if they saw your breakthrough? I'll tell you what will happen. If they saw all those things in your life, and indeed it was some ups and downs in that thing, but one day they saw you have a breakthrough, then they're going to remember, wait a minute, this is the same fella that kept talking about the living God. This is the same fella that kept saying he was going to go pray. This is the same fella that never gave up his faith, but he went through everything in the world. When you have your breakthrough, you know what they're going to do? They're going to fall to their knees. They're going to look up to the heavens. And they're going to say, that's the God I've been looking for. Because only God could have done that for him. And they will desire that upon themselves in truth. So nothing in that situation will be based in phonyism. It's all going to be based in truth. So when they see your breakthrough, they're going to have a breakthrough. They're going to have a breakthrough of magnitude. They're going to say, that's the God I want to serve. It's an amazing thing to see somebody else's breakthrough, especially when you've seen them struggle. If a person ever sees your struggles, if they ever see you go down a ladder to be abased, but they see that the Lord delivered you and nothing else could, they have to see that nothing else can. If they see that nothing else can, they're going to have a breakthrough of great magnitude. So I'll say it again. I tell many people that they have a ministry, but they've never talked to any of the people they minister to. People are watching your life. That's why they see you all the time. And hear me on this. They will always see you at very specific spots in your life. God purposes things that way. So stay the course. Finish the race. The Lord is doing things in your life you couldn't possibly set out. What we have to do is, as much as we're able, remain faithful. We're going to have our struggles, our ups and downs. But I know this for sure. You're going to have your breakthrough. If you stay or you keep coming back to the Lord, you will have your breakthrough. You will. And you're going to have a breakthrough that nothing else on this earth, nor anybody else in this earth, can grant to you. I'm telling you, it has to happen that way. People have to see you in one of those situations that no doctors can help, no medicine is helping, no anything is helping. That means you have to have one of those issues or circumstances that nothing has been able to help, and other people have to see that. They have to see that. Once they see that, and you continue to go forward with the Lord, they're going to see your breakthrough. And when they see your breakthrough, they will see it out of their own mouths. I've seen this person go through something that nobody could fix. Only the living God could have delivered them. And I have witnessed the living God delivering them. That's the day that person's going to go to their knees and look up to the heavens. And they're going to say, Lord, forgive me. I do believe. That's where our Father uses people. That's why I encourage you to stay the course. You have no idea the delivering power of the Most High when we operate in truth. That's all you have to do, is continue to go forward in truth, doing all of what you can do to stand therefore. Remember who you are. You will be a vessel of usage. And it's an awesome thing that if you were to learn that somebody came to Christ because of your life, how awesome would that be? How awesome would that be? And it's not that we're perfect. It's just that we didn't give up. See, in my case, it's not that I'm perfect. It's that I did not give up on the living God nor Christ. God didn't ask us for the impossible. He didn't. He kept asking us one specific thing. And it boils down to this: if you love me, keep my commandments. Didn't he? If you love me, keep my commandments. The commandments of Jesus of Nazareth. Which in those commandments, all the rest are summed up. That's what he said. Continue to go forward in the way of righteousness as best you can. The Lord's going to work everything else out. We have to be honest going forward, with integrity going forward. The breakthrough is the Lord. See, some of you got to make up your mind and say, Lord, I'm going to go forward with or without a breakthrough. That's integrity. Me, I go forward not for a breakthrough. I'm not looking for a breakthrough. I'm looking to be pleasing to the Most High. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a breakthrough. I'm not looking for anything, any prize, any reward. That's not why I'm going forward. I'm going forward to be pleasing unto the Lord. Do you know why? Without Christ on the cross, I've thought about so many times how doomed my life would be. And even if I did nothing, my life would still be doomed for the sake of this flesh. But the Lord did come, and through him I am free. And through him I am forgiven. Through him I can walk again, stand up again, go forward again. Through him I have an opportunity this day. If you're alive this day, it's because of Christ, not for any other reason. It's an opportunity. Truth is, we messed up something yesterday. Today is an opportunity to go forward even further without messing it up. Each day is a brand new day, is it not? Yes, it is. I do not believe like most folks. I don't sit around in sorrow. There's a heaviness. Somebody asked me one time, they said, wouldn't you like to get rid of a broken heart? I said, never. No, I don't want to get rid of a broken heart. For what? Do you know what keeps me? If I were to get rid of a broken heart, how could I have true compassion for you? Because my heart is heavy, because I've mourned with people. I've shared in the grime with people. I've been backstabbed and jimmy-wigged from many. Heartbroken, yes. Do I want to get rid of it? No way. Why? Because don't you think our Father's heart is broken by the mischievousness of his most beloved? Don't you think other people in this world are just as broken as I am? And don't you think that nobody has been broken more than Christ? So I'll tell you something. I'll keep it. It's a reminder of what the Lord went through for me. See, because every time I think about that, it is fuel. It fuels joy and hope and a faith you couldn't imagine. So where everybody else can go get it fixed, I'll keep it, thank you. It's my connection. The other thing is this. Because there is a brokenness, I'm able to communicate to people on many different levels, to speak their language. It allows me to know when to shut up, when not to shut up. I'll go ahead and keep it. Without that brokenness, how could I have compassion upon a person? How could I tell by the eyes of another human being what they've been through? I'll keep the brokenness. It's my connection to people. Because somebody is broken more than me. And if you can perceive the brokenness of another person, that's when you have patience. If you cannot perceive the brokenness of another person, you're going to have no patience. It's like telling a child after they fall on a bike, well, just get up, dust yourself off, go get a Band-Aid, come right back out here. Just no compassion. Versus a person who says, hey, we all fall, let's go take care of that wound, and we'll try it again another time. There's a big difference in that, right? If you fell and you know how bad it is when you're a child and you get all scraped up, you're embarrassed because people saw you, you're going to be very gentle in the handling of someone who just fell on a bike. But if you know nothing about that, you're going to be cold-hearted. You're going to look at the wound and say, nah, that wouldn't be, are you kidding me? That's nothing. That's what you'll say. What you feel inside is a reminder and a connection. It permits the understanding of somebody else who's going through the same thing. Having said all that, can't you see how the Lord set us up to be absolutely effective in what we're doing? See, most people are trying to get rid of things in their lives, not knowing. It is the key to their connection to everybody else. They don't even know that. Is a sinner going to have some spiritual fruit in their lives? No, they chose the world. So what does it take? It takes you understanding flesh to speak to them. If you don't understand flesh, you're going to be cut off. They're not going to listen to you. And thank you, Lord. I've spoken to so many people on many different levels, and not one person can ever say I ever disrespected them. They can't. It's just something they cannot say. But do you know why? Because I have a genuine concern. That's why. And I have a genuine love for my fellow man. That's why. And I'm not going to discount anything that happened in my life. All of it was purposed from the Most High. I just need to learn of it, to utilize what I went through in my life for the sake of somebody else's deliverance, so they can have a victory. It helps me point a person to Christ. Simple as that. And I know this is not my paradise. Is this your paradise? Is earth your paradise? Huh? How many of you plan on living on earth for just a long time? This is it. You want to have everything you're going to get ever right here on earth. See, I already know this is temporary. It's not my permanent home. I'm just passing through. What about you? My home is not here. This is not my home. Nothing here on this earth is permanent. It was never meant to be permanent. This is now a process. We come through this process and we leave this process, and then we are home. But this is not my home. And when you know you're not staying, you don't have this vested cause to live forever in this life. People are sent here to grow, to be tried, to grow and to be tried some more. But if you tell somebody, hey, earth is this beautiful place and you have anything you want, this could be your paradise, go make it happen. If you tell somebody that, but the true story is not like that at all, you're going to have a lot of upset people on the earth. It's a lot of upset people on the earth. I wonder if that has something to do with it. You better believe it does. Because people have been told by flesh what life is. And God has already given it to us, what life actually is. It is not a paradise. It is not permanent. It is not for us to store treasure up in. But if somebody tells you, earth is so you can gain everything, sit up and get retired, kick your feet back and watch TV or something like that. If that's what you believe, you're going to be sorely disappointed, especially in the weeks to come. People are upset now because they're saying it shouldn't be this way. What do you mean it shouldn't be this way? I know people who've been saying that for years now. They say it shouldn't be this way. No, you believed the sayings of the world. That's the problem. I don't believe the sayings of the world. I do not believe that I can be anything. You know what I believe? I believe I'm predestined by the Father. I believe that the Lord has something for us that will fulfill us completely, and that the world never has anything that can fulfill us completely. Passers-by. First of all, listen, I can't answer everything, obviously, because I don't have hands-on experience with everything. But if I do have hands-on experience with something, forgive me if I get overly compassionate. Somebody says, Mark 8:23 and 26, why did it take 2 touchers to be healed? Well, that's a very specific one. Good one. Hold on. Let's go find it. We have to go find it first. Let's do a quick 23 through 26. Let's see. 23, and he took a blind man by his hand, led him out of the town, and when he had spit on his eyes, he put his hands upon him. He asked him if he saw out, and he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. After that, he put his hands again upon his eyes and made him to look up, and he was restored and saw every man clearly. And he sent him away to his house, saying, neither go into town nor tell it to any in the town. How was that man when he said, so we know this guy was this was the individual that was blind, that he was authentically blind. But what was the Lord doing here? What was happening here when the Lord was healing him? It wasn't about the touch. It was about the man's perception of the touch. Does that make sense? Why would I say something like that? Because what does Jesus say after somebody is healed? What does he say? He tells them exactly how they were healed. He says, your faith has made you whole. Oh. He says, your faith has made you whole. Oh. Your faith has made you whole. Your faith has made you whole. Your faith has made, that's what he said. Except for the girl that was dead. But for the most part, he said, your faith has made you whole. He was receiving the healing. When he saw tall men as trees, it was underway. And the Lord kept going through his process. See, if the Lord touches you, you're going to believe, if you believe the Lord is the Lord, If you believe a person is touched, that if they were to say something to you, you could receive of them. If you do that, something's going to begin with you. When he saw tall men as trees, he simply did it again because the guy was receiving, and he made sure he received it all the way. So when he said Lazarus, the rich man, those that lived a little better than others, doomed to hell? No, they were not. Why does the Bible talk to rich people? Why does this rich thing come up all the time? There you go. Somebody says, according to your faith, be healed. There you go. There you go. So why does the Bible talk about, say these things against rich people? Let me tell you this. Suppose I gained $200,000. And suppose the next day I died, or the next week I died, and I still have $200,000. What is the Lord going to think of that? That's called wasted resources. That's what that is. Wasted resources. I'm going to die with $200,000. When somebody also died from starvation, they could have had that $200,000. No, thank you. That's not going to be on my head. When the Lord has empowered you, and you've done nothing with that empowerment, He already told us some things about what He will require of us. What does He require of us? The Lord requires of us what we are able to do. If you're suddenly empowered, you're able to do a lot more. If you don't do anything with that, and you know of a situation, and you did nothing, then you chose not to do anything. Now, what about a person who does not fully know that? Would they be accountable for that? No, they would not. Nobody's going to be accountable for something they do not know. That's what men on earth do. God doesn't do that. He will make things known to you. It's important that when He makes something known to you, gives you conviction, you act on those things. You go search out the Word of God to clarify everything, and you do what you do. Suppose the Lord blessed me with $200,000, and it just sat in the bank, and I didn't do anything to enhance what I'm already doing. It just sat in the bank. You can see that one, can't you? Why in the world would I sit there with $200,000 in the bank and I'm not enhancing what I'm trying to do for the Lord with that? Surely that's going to be on my head, because I could have reached out and did a whole lot more. That's why some of you who have money, God has you in a very specific place, and you have a very specific knowledge set, and there are other things happening in your life, and you're doing all of what you can do responsibly, so long as you have a heart for others. And there are some people God has not given anything to because it would condemn them. When you're ready to receive of the Lord, He's going to try you. He already said that. He's going to try you with a little bit. And if you're responsible with that little bit, He'll add more to it. But if the Lord can give you an extra $5, some people say, Lord, if I just had just a little bit more, I could do a whole lot with that. Well, He increased you, but what did you do with it? Truth be told, a lot of people get increased, and they'll always say, well, it's not enough, so I'm going to go ahead and get a brand new pair of shoelaces. We always end up doing weird things like that. And so right now, the Lord can't entrust you with a lot. He will condemn you. Can you see that? That if the Lord suddenly gave you a large amount of resources, it could condemn you. So what the Lord wants us to do is to see things as tools, not to worship it, right? Not to do that, not to magnify it above everything else, not to count it precious more than anything else, but to see it as a tool, as an empowerment, knowing that the Lord can grant things like this at any given time. He does not want that thing to alter the course of your faith. But based on your faith, He will equip you and grant you what you need as you choose to serve Him. He will. He will. He'll do it in a heartbeat. What we have to do is we have to learn that all these resources and money and things like that are a tool. And we have to have the highest responsibility behind those tools. Right? We cannot see money like the world does. We have to see money for what it truly is. That's all. That's all. Rich people, I know some rich folks. I know a rich guy right now, right? He wouldn't give a dime to a cause like this. He wouldn't give a dime to another person, but he would give $200,000 to a charity that can actually write him another letter so he can write that off on his taxes. The old enhancement letter. He'll do that. He'll give to get, but he will not give just to give. He won't do it. Money can be dangerous too. It can. Once you have a lot, you're going to be frightened to lose it because you'll be back at square one. So it takes a different mindset to handle that. Hopefully you guys understand that. Okay, what do we have? Yes, and with the cork, I'm going to call that the cork. That's our code name for the Coast plates here in COT is the cork. The cork is, in fact, within the next 8 hours, there's some very specific data. I'm looking some harmonic data that I need to put together from that cork to see exactly what happened. It is something that I think the Lord put in me a forewarning as much as possible, but I'm going to be looking for the harmonic data in that cork. Folks, I'll tell you one day, I already know it, one day, I may be on air just like this, and something unthinkable will have taken place. And people will panic. They will. I'm praying that when that day comes, you guys are settled, because here's what I believe. You guys that I'm talking to, there are other people that are finding you. You're going to be very important for them. In a time of great crisis, it's going to be important that your faith is intact, not shaken, so that others can be given some sort of stability from you, just from you. That's important, that we will be in those days. We will. There's the rest of the generation that's not supposed to be here. They have to go. I told you guys that at the beginning of the year. There's a generation that it cannot be here before this next phase begins. And when they're gone, this next phase will not hesitate. It will begin immediately. So there are a lot of people leaving the earth in a very specific generation. That generation is not marked by age so much as it's marked by people and what they can truly accept and what they truly can't accept. For example, there's some people right now who are in their 50s and they really cannot accept some of the things that are in Revelation. They can't. The Lord is not a spoiler of souls. He'll never place upon you beyond that which you can bear. But He and He alone knows what you can bear. And it's not going to put you in a situation that's going to corrupt and decay your soul. He's not doing that. So some people naturally cannot be here when things come about because they weren't ever given the mind to perceive it. My own personal grandmother, for example, right? There's no way that if my grandmother were alive, she could perceive what's happening today. There's no way. She was not given a mind to perceive that. She was given exactly what she needed to operate in her time. That's why when people get older and older, they get to a moment when they say, nothing in the world makes sense. Nothing does. And they really cannot comprehend the current situation in the world. They really have no comprehension of it. Because to them, it's a different language altogether. It's a circumstance so different from what they are able to grasp. They can't see it. It'd be like if I start talking about quantum physics to anybody in here, right? Some people may get it, but everybody is not going to get that. It's not meant for everybody to get it. So when that generation's gone, it'll take place. It'll take place. Some of those people in that generation are in their 70s. And the first generation, certainly the generation of my grandmother, they're gone. The other generation is on the way out. Just keep in mind that nobody goes anywhere until the Lord says they go. And no matter what it looks like in the flesh is not a mirror of the Spirit always, especially in things like passing from this realm. All right, next one. Somebody says, I have stumps in my yard smarter than me. Me and you both. Somebody says, I'm in my 70s. Yes, some of your generation, some of that generation, Ryder, are they're not meant to see what's coming. And it's not necessarily having to do with age, as it has to do with what a person, right, can truly deal with. The Lord's he's not going to place a person in a situation that will just totally consume them so much that their soul is tampered with. That's not going to happen. That won't happen. What about Italy and can't be? Well, listen, this eclipse, the eclipse that's coming up is going to point a finger at something, and I hope that people are paying attention. I know you don't hear. Is anybody hearing anything about the eclipse and where it terminates? Listen, that means everything to me. That's almost incredible. That's an incredible thing. Of all the eclipses, this eclipse we're about to have is one of the most notable to me. Of all of them, it's one of the most notable. Right? But let me share this with you also. The things that we go through here in life, nobody ever talked about those things that changed the world. They always talked about those things they gathered all the intel on. But it just so happens what they gathered all the intel on never did anything to change too much of anything. It's always the thing they don't talk about. Have you noticed that? Have you guys noticed that? Have you noticed that? So, it's just like in the Bible, the Pharisees, they had wisdom beyond they had all the knowledge, the scrolls, everything, access to everything. Yet they missed the coming of the Son. They missed the coming of the Son of Man. They missed the time that Jesus would be on the earth. They couldn't see it. They couldn't see it, right? But they had all the knowledge. Well, same thing is happening today. You have a lot of people with a lot of knowledge, but they have no spiritual accuracy to complement the knowledge with. Why? Because for the most part, we do something. We don't like to claim that we do it, but we keep leaning onto our own understanding. That's what we keep doing. And so we keep missing season. I believe if a person would just back off everything and really admit, hey, I don't know. I don't have the answer for anybody. When it comes to our Father's things, I believe that the Father would truly change some things. But so long as we're prideful, we think we know everything, what we end up doing is locking into the knowledge that we have, and we will not accept anything else that comes in. And so you end up missing a lot, right? Missing a whole lot. On the NASA website, by the way, for the eclipses coming up on the NASA website, they have an image, plotting image of where the termination of this eclipse will be. Take a look at that. It is so very interesting. It really is. All right, next. What do we have next? Question, Brother Mike, how do we know? All right, let me get this. How do we know what the Lord would have me do? I'm 55, old, I have family by blood DNA, but it's really just me. But that's all in 10 toes down to my Lord. How do you really know what the Lord would have you to do? Right? What He wants you to do? Okay, number one. All of us are created. Okay? We're created. Yes, we came from our parents. DNA played its role. Chromosomes played its role. But you are the outcome by the will of God. If you believe in Christ, this is important for you to know. If you believe in Christ, you're here by the will of God. You're not here by chance. If you believe in Christ, you're here by the will of God. That's why you're here. So if you're here by the will of God, then by God's will, your life has been formulated. In your life, whether it be good or bad, you have picked up certain characteristics and traits and skill sets and so forth and so on. You also have a childlike passion in your heart. Now, the world may have suppressed what you have a heart for because you had to hide that to exist in the world. It's common for believers. They have to hide who they really are in order for them to stand up and be accepted in the world. That's a big thing for a person who believes in Christ. So what you have to do is you have to reacquaint with the truth of who you are. Look into your passions. You're going to begin to find your calling. So according to a calling, listen, this is about a calling. A lot of people say, well, you got to get your calling, and you got to make sure that you catch up to your calling. Listen, I'm not going into specifics. I'm going to give you what I 1,000,000,000% believe. I believe a person exists and is made for their calling. Everything in you goes with your calling. Your heart, your mind, your quirkiness, your silliness, all of it goes with your calling. Your life here on this earth is a pre-qualification of who you spiritually are. Standing up for that truth, that will be the final. You see that? So you're made for the calling. How do you find out what you're doing? You have to be honest with yourself. Look at your passions. Start looking and see what the world has tried to make you suppress and change. And ask your Father in heaven, say, Lord, who am I? What would you have me do? You'll begin to discover, hey, I used to like this when I was small. I used to have passion for these people when I was small. I can tell you right now, you probably have something suppressing or causing you to suppress who you naturally are. Because most, if not all of you, have assignments. And the job of that assignment is to keep you from completely conforming to Jesus of Nazareth. You guys understand that? You like an example? Well, my calling, for example, right? Let me give you an example of my calling. Somebody says I like some examples of callings. Let me give you my example. I had nothing. See what I'm doing right now? Right? Talking to you guys right now, even right before this. Listen, you got to understand who I was. I've always been inquisitive. I've always believed in the Lord, right? I've had a horrible life. You could say horrible. In hindsight, all of it necessary, but there's horrible things have happened. Most people have horrible things happen. I was dead when I was born, stuff like that. And I've always seen the darkness of this world, how harmful it is, how phony things are. One of the first things I noticed about people was they would smile and hug when they didn't even love each other. Phoniness. They would shake hands simply because they were trying to get something. And so they would act like anybody to obtain something from somebody else. Right? I noticed that. And people were violent to each other. They were just destroying each other. In fact, it was so bad, I remember without even not reading the word or anything, because I couldn't read at that age. I do remember my childhood before I could walk. And I remember a little bit after I could walk, but that's it. I don't remember anything else until I reached the age of 9. And that's when I started having those dreams. But I remember even when I was young, I wanted to go back home. I didn't want to be here. I remember that. I remember seeing a very specific way before I could walk. I could comprehend things. I knew what people were talking about, but I had no desire to speak back to them. I remember having someone right there beside me that I couldn't see. I remember that. I remember hearing myself cry. I could always hear myself cry, but I wasn't crying. How you like that one? Anyway, but I've always believed in Christ, and I've always believed in the Father. Always. When I was 9, the world still was awful. And I would often, when nobody was looking, ask the Father to take me back home. I didn't want to be here. It's just violent, cruel. And then it was at the age of 9 or 10 that it was impressed upon me, there's something I have to do here. And then I go home. And so I've always had a compassion for that one special friend. Anybody ever been like that? Well, I didn't befriend everybody, but I always had room in my heart for that one special friend. And it just so happens that these special friends were always people with that everybody else rejected. Something was wrong with them. Either they were in a wheelchair or in some sort of defect or something like that, right? So I would defend them. But it was in that I found most of the joy in my life, was pouring out everything I could of myself to somebody who couldn't hardly do anything. And I had this friend of mine who had asthma, and they were in a wheelchair, and they really couldn't do anything. I mean, this person would take 2 steps and collapse. So one day, this guy wanted to play flag football. Nobody else wanted him to play football, and they would laugh at him and everything else. So I rolled him out there one day. And I stuck a flag on his chair, but of course, I was pushing him around everywhere. And he played football for the first time. He enjoyed himself so much. And so after that was over, of course, I grew up and graduated and went to the service, this, that, and the other. But I got a call from one of my relatives who knew that situation. And the mother of the child was trying to get in contact with me. So eventually we met up, and she was sharing the pictures and the memories. She was crying the whole time. And then she pulled out the pictures of the football thing. And she had communicated to me to make sure that he said that was the best day of his life. That one little thing was the best day of his life. I remembered when I did that, it was this sense of, he should have fun too. I'm going to do this for him. He's going to play football today, right? But when the mother told me, and he had wrote it down everywhere, that was the best day of his life, that broke something in me so much. And that's when I began to realize, when we're authentic by way of the heart, that's when the Lord does the most work. We may not get to know what that work is, but something is being worked. Something is always going to be worked in that atmosphere of love when we truly do give everything of ourselves for the sake of somebody else. And that's when I also realized that's what life is about. That's what part of my calling is about, to give everything of me. Even if nobody notices, even if nobody parades it, right? To give everything of me for those causes I'm called to. Everything of me. And that way it was in me naturally. So the calling that I have in life, because later on in life, like this, what I'm doing right now with you guys, I'm not the person who would do something like this. I'm just not, right? Number one, it kills your career. It takes from you and does not give to you, right? It creates unnecessary hardships. It does. And it compromises everything for something. So somebody once told me, they said, hey, you mean to tell me you would compromise everything for something so meaningless? I said, yes. But then when he said that, I thought about it. You know how thoughts try to creep in. But I'll never override the love in my heart I have for other people. And I trust God in that somehow, some way, it'll do some good somewhere. Right? We're not promised to see the good that it will do. We're not promised to see that. But I know that somehow, some way, he'll use it. He'll use it. And the COT has been both a nightmare and a severe blessing at the same time. It really has. It really has. But the calling was naturally in me. Your calling is naturally in you. You're made for that calling. The elements that make you are for that calling. In my case, it's an overwhelming sense of acceptance and love for those that nobody else would even look at twice. That's already in me. To truly see people for who they are on the inside, to look beyond the flesh, that's very easy for me. And to never give up on someone. That's why I know the people who listen to me, they have similar stories. All you guys have similar stories. If you're listening to me now, you fit the category. You've gone through something that I can actually name. You're very similar individuals, which is quite amazing because all of you are, gathered together and you're quite similar in that. But most of the people who listen to my voice and hear something in my voice, they've had a loss of love. A severe loss of love, normally through a betrayal, neglect, something of that nature. Something hurt you deeply and attempted to change the definition of loving your hearts. So when a person hears my voice, they're drawn to the voice, right? They're drawn to the voice because the Lord made it that way. Because you're hearing something that's in my heart coming out of my voice is what you're hearing. It's in my heart. It has nothing to do with me. But it has everything to do with the Lord's purpose in me. I sound the way I sound because of Him. I can't stand the way I sound. But it just so happens emotionally and spiritually, there are certain things that's been your greatest betrayal. That you've had to, you've gained a retrust in again because of this voice that's coming out, right? Some of you guys didn't trust something for a long time. And it took you a long time to get that trust back in something. And the Lord uses me to help people get their trust back in certain things, which means you have similar backgrounds. You just don't know it yet, but you have similar backgrounds. But you're made for the calling is what I'm saying. And if you're authentic, if you can be as genuine as possible. Now, in order to be genuine, you can't cover up pain. You have to understand where the Lord's been in your life. You cannot cover up mishaps and all these things that happen in your life. You don't rehearse them. That's not what you're doing. From time to time, I will relate to issues and circumstances. And why is it that every time I do that, somebody writes a long email saying they don't know how I spoke just for them? That's not me knowing something in advance. necessarily. That's just how the Lord works through those who are willing to love somebody else. Because me, I'm not concerned about your past. I'm concerned about who you are right now. I'm not concerned about who you were. I'm concerned about who you are. I love people for who they are, not for who they were, not for who they can be, but for who they are. And the Lord does the rest. But I never set my heart to do anything like this. I used to tell people all the time, listen, you got to be careful on the internet. Don't listen to people on the internet. I used to tell people all the time, don't listen to people on the internet. I used to tell my nieces and nephews, you're idiots. If you listen to somebody on the internet, they could be anybody. I did. I had to eat every word. At the beginning of COT, just to start the website, it was going to be a website with a Bible respiratory in it, with some other tools there for the sake of the Bible, nobody talking or anything else. And I remember when me and Angela were talking, Angela said, well, are you going to talk? I said, I'm never going to talk on COT. I'm not doing that. No, I'll never do that. I said, you may do it. I'm not going to. She said, no, I'm never going to do it either. So we lied to each other. That's the first thing we did in COT was tell a big lie. That's the truth. That's the truth. The Lord made us eat those words point blank. So another thing about your calling, you're not going to dictate your calling. You're just not going to do that. You're not going to know how it evolves. The Lord will do that. He'll put you into places you never thought you'd be in, right? It is not easy. Often you have no clue what you're doing. You just have to be genuine towards the Lord and towards your fellow man. People have stepped in. You know what really gets, I can tell it now. It's been so long ago. I remember one time, because this is when, you guys remember when COT, we didn't take donations. You guys remember that? And people started saying, hey, you got to have a place where people can give. I said, no, we don't need that. But at the same time, nobody knew it, but at the same time, it was just great pressure. And I would often pray in seriousness, like, Lord, how are we going to go forward? And I'm just empty. I'm dried out. I'm wiped out. I can't do anything. And he would make a way, or, things would happen. But we still didn't take donations, and we didn't get money from anybody, right? I didn't get money. I was doing everything out of pocket. And we got to the point where it wasn't sustainable anymore. I couldn't sustain it anymore. Weird things were happening. Weird things were happening. And so somebody said, listen, if you don't take donations, you're blocking other people from exercising the love of their heart. And when they said that, I could see it. So reluctantly, I set it up. And I set it up and it went, but it was still, things were redlining quick. And then one day it redlined. And then someone did an unbelievable thing. They don't even know it, but only the Lord could coordinate that. They got us out of being shut down for at least a year. It would have taken a year to recover from that. But they got us out from being shut down. For that was amazing. And then, things like that continue to happen to the exact amount of what was needed. To the exact amount. And, we continue to go down. I already know, because when we did that, the first time that happened, that broke me down so bad that wasn't even funny. I think I was on air talking, and I could barely hold together my composure. I wasn't even talking about that, but just to know about that broke me inside. Something just broke inside, right? Because I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate what money does to people. I hate the families it breaks apart and the lives it can destroy. And to be honest with you, I want nothing to do with money. But it's necessary to continue to operate in this world. I know that. I just don't favor money like that. But then the Lord kept having that happen. And then things led to other things and things. Just recently, somebody did something that bailed COT out again. This time it was a collection of about 3 people who did something unbelievable that really got us off the red line. Because I can tell you now, it's no big deal, but COT is always going in the red line. We had a building given to us. right? Now, the estimates that came back on that building was that it was going to take a little over $2 million to get everything totally operable. So it's been a long, durational, and slow process. And then we always find out something different. We need this, that, and the other, because we don't have $2 million or something like that. We don't, nobody, who has that sitting around? We don't have that. That's not how we're constructed. But, even with that, the help and the willingness that people are showing towards us, that building was given to us. Given to us. Who does that? Who does that? And of course, but that's a blessing. But yeah, it takes money to get things up to par. It takes money to do this, that, and the other. I do not enjoy discussing those things. So I adjust my life from time to time and go back into things I said I would never go back into to get the resources together so I can get some things finished. I have to set this table called COT so people can come forward. You guys will hear me say that from time to time. It'll be done. Because what the Lord does is just unimaginable. But we still survive. We still go forward, doing all of what we can to keep everything, operational. And we do exactly what we can do when we can do it. We do. But I'm so thankful because I said I'd never do anything like this. Not ever. Not ever. I ended up doing the very thing I said I wouldn't do. So a calling is already within you. In fact, as a child, you probably performed some of that calling already. There are things that your Father has given you. There are always, whatever your Father gave you is wrapped in compassion and love. Whatever He gave you is wrapped in compassion and wrapped in love. So you take that, don't hide it. And there's a story in the Bible. That is you. That's all of you. You took what God naturally gave you, and you wrapped that up and you hid that from the world so the world could not see it. And you created a new character. Your calling that you have is not going to come from the character you created. It's going to come from the person God sent here to this earth. That's where it'll come from. So operate in honesty with integrity, not by what you adopted from other people, but by what your Father in heaven gave you in the beginning. And no one can stop that calling that's in you. No one. Have you noticed? I'm very different. I don't emulate anyone. Have you noticed that? I don't emulate anyone. I am truly a person from the bushes. But there are others. There are others. And it's just, it's how we're educated. Let's go ahead and face this. The church, for a long time, has copied exactly what the world did. Let's go ahead and face that, period. From how it's constructed to how it operates, it copied what the world did. God never copied what the world did. When God sent somebody, they shook up everything, and nobody wanted them to come, did they? That's when the Lord sends someone, that someone does not speak alongside or compliment folks. They shake up everything. Every prophet that came spoke against the priest. Didn't you notice? The priest didn't want to hear what the prophet had to say. God sent the prophet, but the priests were trained academically, maintaining ways and standards, the uniform way that was given to them a long time ago. But here comes the prophet to bust up everything the priests were doing, because the priests could not maintain that spiritual connection to the Most High. They could maintain the methods, they could maintain the procedures, they could maintain the traditions, but they were disconnected from the Spirit. And so God sent a prophet to go talk to the priests, because priests would no longer listen to the living God. It got so bad, He sent His only begotten Son. And then His Son sent apostles. And now you're here. You're not to emulate everybody else. You're to operate authentically with what the Father has given you. Authentically. People will always look at you strange until the Lord brings things about. And everything's going to sound like some things are going to sound wild, made up, a big lie until it happens. But I tell you now, what the Lord's going to do, He's going to upend what everybody thought. He's going to clean all of us up. And in that day, not one of us is going to be an expert in prophecy. I can tell you that for sure. Everybody's going to keep their mouth shut concerning prophecy. God's not here to compliment what we've been bragging about. What the Lord is doing is bringing about the victory upon the souls of those that are faithful. What our Father's doing is authentic. It is thorough, and it will never fail. And in the end, God will be right about what he declared, and none of us will be. All right. Guys, it's that time. I thought it was going to be a short broadcast. Thank you for the inspiration to keep going a few more minutes. I'm sure we're very close to something here. Listen, I'm going to be on watch this weekend. I have some stories for print. I was telling Angela about some of the papers that are the publishing that will take place in COT, so you guys can actually read some content. It always makes you nervous for people to read what you've written. It is in a story format, but I can already tell you that some people are going to start catching on to certain areas and have 7 conniption fits in one. But I can tell you this, I'm going to be obedient to the Lord no matter what. In the end, listen, in the end, the truth will always prevail. Not to our benefit, but for the Lord's cause. The truth is, the truth is not going to prevail so I can look good. The truth is going to prevail that the saints have the victory. Always remember that. I'm not trying to look good in front of everybody. I'd rather be effective for what the Lord has already established. I hope that more and more all of us can adopt that mindset. God bless and keep all of you. I'm going to see you guys next time right here at the Council of Time. COT's base of operations is right here at the councilofTime.com. COT has no other outlet or venue. These are other folks who will rebroadcast. Anything COT does is by the main page here at the councilofTime.com.
Notice also in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers. It takes the grace of God to change us, folks. How can you be saved if you're not willing to repent? And the Lord Jesus Christ said, except you repent, you shall all likewise perish.